historic downtown Statesville sits in the heart of Iredell County, but before it was officially a county, it was just part of the old Carolina backcountry.
The hilltop that we're standing on is the site of a fort that was constructed 265 years ago during the French and Indian War.
Known as Fort Dobbs, and only 3 miles as a crow flies from modern-day Statesville, it was named for the colonial-era governor of the state, Arthur Dobbs. The original fort is long gone, and until just a few years ago, a visit to Fort Dobbs left a lot to the imagination.
We had a hole in the ground where the archaeology had once happened, and to try to get visitors to get excited and use their imaginations and understand the importance of the history here when you're just walking around a historic hole in the ground is pretty difficult.
But today, standing tall on the original site is a new Fort Dobbs. Site manager Scott Douglas says getting the project going took years of research.
In the last decade, as we were gearing up towards rebuilding the fort, we made sure to complete the archaeological surveys of the entire footprint of the building.
And years of dreams.
I'm still not fully processed the fact that we have the fort here now. It was something that our staff, our volunteers, dreamt about, planned for, thought about for so long. And there were times in that process when people maybe thought it wasn't going to be able to be successful.
The reconstructed Fort Dobbs opened in 2019.
We had 2,000 visitors that first day, and the ability to see all these excited people go into that fort for the very first time, to see it act as a teaching tool that we had planned for it to be for so long, has really been an incredibly fulfilling part of my career.
Now, visitors who step inside the new Fort Dobbs step back in time.
We try to make it an immersive experience. It's a museum exhibit, but one that you can walk through and be part of in a way. We try to avoid having rope lines and do not touch signs. Everything in the fort is a reproduction of original items, weaponry and clothing and stuff like that. And so during our guided tours, we actually encourage visitors to pick up items, to sit on beds, to feel the warmth of a fire in the fireplace, and hopefully it lends a sense of actually stepping back in time and being in a real fort that people really are living in, and getting a more of an understanding of that, of what it would have been like.
And several times a year.
We'll have people literally living their lives in that building for a 48-hour period of time. And visitors walking through that can get an even deeper level of understanding of, how smelly was this place with 50 sweaty soldiers in there? That's maybe not the most attractive way. But what was it like for people to cook around each other, to have all these soldiers sitting down to eat a meal? What was it like to be in the building when it filled with gun smoke in battle? Those are all things that living history programs allow us to experience.
Now, if you're wondering if Fort Dobbs ever saw action, interpreter Jason Melius has the answer.
There was a battle here, and it was not between French allies and the soldiers here. It was actually between former British allies, the Cherokee Nation. And here on February 27th, 1760, a party of Cherokee attempted to draw the soldiers out of the fort at about 8 or 9 o'clock at night and ambush them about 300 yards down the hill over there.
The original Fort Dobbs was abandoned and eventually lost to time after the end of the French and Indian War. But Melius says the new fort makes his job a joy.
I love this job. It's fun. I get to do a lot of research, and we use the fort more as a tool to talk about the people that were involved here. So it's not necessarily like an old house tour. We go through the rooms and talk about the lives that were going on inside of the rooms, and then ultimately about the battle, the Cherokee War, and trying to give perspective to both sides.
This is a crucial piece of American history that isn't really focused on that much in popular culture. It's something just that happens before the American Revolution. But the French and Indian War is a global conflict. It sets the stage for the Revolutionary War. It creates the path to what is now the United States today. It has a lot of repercussions that we still feel in our modern society. This is the only state historic site in North Carolina where we have the opportunity to tell this story of our state's role in the conflict.
So the next time you're near Statesville, consider a visit and immerse yourself in the North Carolina backcountry and journey to the mid-1700s at Fort Dobbs State Historic Site. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.
We hope you enjoyed the story. If you don't want to miss any more great stories about the Charlotte region, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.